The Constitution of India, Preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution.
Hello my dear children, welcome back. So, we have completed the story A Snake in the Grass, right? And now let us move on to our new unit, Tales and Tunes. What does it mean by tales and tunes? Tales means stories and tunes are related to music. This unit includes 2 lessons, a poem and a story which focuses on the aims at creating interest in telling and listening stories. Tell me, don't you love listening to stories? I know you do. And what kind of stories you like to read and listen to? You may like fairy tales, adventurous stories, stories of animals and birds, and many more, right? Every year, March 20th is observed as the World Storytelling Day. Do you know, storytelling is an art. Stories once heard must be passed on. If we don't, the stories and the art of storytelling will slowly disappear from the earth. Stories are meant to be told. Listen and tell. That is the law of Story Kingdom. Nowadays, you have a lot of resources to read and listen to stories, right? Have you ever thought how people came to know about these stories when there were no such resources available? Let me tell you. People who heard stories passed them on orally, that is by telling from generation to generation. Have you heard about fables? Fables are stories read or said from generation to generation. They are also called classics. Fables contains moral values and Aesop's fables are well known among them. Let us go through one of the famous fables of Aesop. Okay. A rich voyager from Athens was on a voyage with 2 companions. In the course of their voyage, a violent storm blew up and capsized the ship. The companions tried to swim ashore, but the rich voyager kept calling on Athena, the goddess of Athens, and promised her lavish offerings if he escaped. One of his shipwrecked companions, as he swam past, shouted to him, "Don't leave it all to Athena. Use your arms as well." So, a rich voyager from Athens was on a voyage with his 2 companions. Voyager is a person who travels by sea, and voyage is a journey by sea. So, a rich traveler from Athens was on a journey with his 2 companions, with his 2 partners. And while traveling, they were caught in a violent storm and their ship was capsized. Capsize means be overturned in the water. Keezhmel mariyuka. Okay. So, their ship was capsized in the storm. The 2 companions tried to swim towards the shore. But the rich traveler kept calling to Athena, the goddess of Athens, promising her lavish offerings if he escaped. One of his companions who was swimming past him shouted to him and told him to use his hands instead of leaving everything upon God. I hope you understood the fable. What message did you get from the fable? Yes, God helps those who help themselves. That is, prayer is of little value if we do not do our duties. So, you have to use your own abilities along with the blessings of God. Is it clear? Usually, stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. The essential elements of stories are the beginning, that is, how the story begins. The development, the second one is the development, that is, how the story continues or progresses. And the third one is something happens, that is, the events of the story. And the fourth one is things came to an end, that is, the solution for the problem in the story. And the last one is the conclusion, how the story ends. So these are all the essential elements of a story. I hope you understand it well. Read the textbook, then you will understand it clearly. Okay. Now let us continue with the first lesson of this unit, the poem The Owl and the Pussycat, which contains a story in it. It is one of the finest poems written by the master of Limerick, Edward Lear. Edward Lear was born on 1812 and died in the year 1888, is an English artist, illustrator, author and poet. He is known mostly for his limericks, a form he popularized. Limericks are short, humorous poems with rhymes. The main characters of the poem, the owl and the pussycat, sworn enemies in real life, are lovebirds in the poem. They go on a joyride to the land where the bong trees grow to get married. Now, let us read and enjoy the poem. The Owl and the Pussycat. The owl and the pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea-green boat. They took some honey and plenty of money wrapped up in a 5-pound note. The owl looked up to the stars above and sang to a small guitar. Oh, lovely kitty, oh kitty, my love, what a beautiful kitty you are. You are, what a beautiful kitty you are. So, the owl and the pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea-green boat. They took some honey and plenty of money wrapped up in a 5-pound note. So, the main characters of the poem, the owl and the pussycat, set out to the sea in a pea-green boat. They took with them some honey and wrapped a large amount of money in a 5-pound note and started their journey. Plenty of means a large amount of, dharalam, and wrap means cover something, podiga. So, taking all these things, they started their journey in a pea-green boat. The owl looked up to the stars above and sang to a small guitar. Oh, lovely kitty, oh kitty, my love, what a beautiful kitty you are. You are, what a beautiful kitty you are. While traveling, the owl started to play the guitar and sings, looking up to the stars in the sky. While singing, the owl praises the pussycat, describing her as beautiful and lovely kitty. Let us move on to the second stanza of the poem. The kitty said to the owl, you elegant fowl, how charmingly sweet you sing. Oh, let us be married, too long we have tarried. But what shall we do for a ring? They sailed away for a year and a day to the land where the bong tree grows. And there in a wood a piggy wig stood with a ring at the end of his nose. His nose with a ring at the end of his nose. So, the kitty said to the owl, you elegant fowl, how charmingly sweet you sing. Oh, let us be married, too long we have tarried, but what shall we do for a ring? So, the pussycat describes the owl as a graceful bird and also compliments the bird singing by saying that it is very attractive. Charming means very pleasant or attractive. She told the owl that they should get married as they have waited for it too long. Tarried means to delay or be late in coming, going, or doing something. She also asked the owl that what will they do for a ring as they do not have one. They sailed away for a year and a day to the land where the bong tree grows. So what did they do? They kept on sailing. Sail means travel in a boat. So they continued their journey for a year and a day to the land where the bong tree is grown. Bong tree is an evergreen tropical tree. So they continued their journey in the pea green boat to the land where the bong trees grow. Is it clear? Okay. And there in a wood a piggy wig stood with a ring at the end of his nose. His nose with a ring at the end of his nose. Finally, they reached the land where the bong trees grown and found a pig who has the ring at the end of his nose standing among the wood. Wood means an area of land smaller than a forest. Cheriya vanam. So they found the pig who has the ring at the end of his nose standing among the wood. Is it clear? Now moving on to the next stanza. Dear pig, are you willing to sell for 1 shilling your ring? Said the piggy, I will. So they took it away and were married next day by the turkey who lives on the hill. They dined on mince and slices of quince, which they ate with a runcible spoon. And hand in hand on the edge of the sand, they danced by the light of the moon. The moon, they danced by the light of the moon. So, dear pig, are you willing to sell for 1 shilling your ring? Said the piggy, I will. So they took it away and were married next day by the turkey who lives on the hill. They asked the pig whether he is willing, whether he is ready to sell the ring for 1 shilling. Shilling is a unit of money. When the pig agreed to sell the ring, they took it away and got married to each other the next day in the presence of the turkey who lives on the hill. Okay. They dined on mince and slices of quince, which they ate with a runcible spoon. Mince meaning chopped meat, and quince means a pear-shaped fruit used for flavoring. So they dined. They had their lavish wedding feast of chopped meat and fruits with a runcible spoon. Runcible spoon is a term invented by Edward Lear, which means a fork with a broad curved projection and sharpened edge. Okay. And hand in hand on the edge of the sand, they danced by the light of the moon. The moon, they danced by the light of the moon. So, after the wedding feast, the newly wedded couple danced on the sand, holding their hands together under the moonlight. Here the poem ends. Is it clear, children? Okay. Exploring the themes of love and joy, the poem seems to suggest that harmonious existence is possible even among sworn enemies. I hope you have enjoyed the poem and understood it well. Now, let us go through some of the textual activities. Okay. Now, look at these lines. They took some honey and plenty of money. And, oh, let us be married, too long we have tarried. In these lines, the words honey and money, married and tarried ends with the same sound. You have already studied about rhyming words. The words ends with the same sounds, especially at the end of the lines, isn't it? Here the words honey, money and married and tarried ends with the same sound, but it comes within the same line, right? These kinds of words are called internal rhymes. That is, a rhyme that occurs within the lines of a poem is called internal rhyme. Let us take one more example. Now look at this poem. You're already familiar with this poem, right? In this poem, you can see that the word Jill and hill ends with the same sound and comes in the same line, isn't it? In the same way, the words down and crown, right? Such kinds of words are called internal rhymes. Is it clear, children? Okay. Now the next topic is limerick. Limerick is a funny poem that has 5 lines with a rhyme scheme AABBA. A rhyme scheme is a rhyming pattern created at the end of the lines of a poem. For example, look at this poem. There once was a turkey named Chummy. Mom thought that he might be quite yummy. He waddled away on Thanksgiving Day, but still ended up in my tummy. Here the words chummy and yummy ends with the same sound, right? So let us give them the name as A. In the same way, the words away and day ends with the same sound. But as it is different from the first pair of words, let us give the name as B. And in the last line, the word tummy rhymes with the words chummy and yummy. So this also gets the name A. And you can see the rhyming pattern A, B, B, A. Right. As I mentioned earlier, limerick is a funny poem that has 5 lines with a rhyme scheme A, B, B, A. Is it clear, children? Okay. Moving on to the next topic, personification. Personification is a figure of speech in which a thing, an idea or an animal is given the human traits or human qualities. അതായത് ജീവനില്ലാത്ത വസ്തുക്കൾക്ക് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആശയങ്ങൾക്ക് ജീവനുള്ളവയുടെ ക്വാളിറ്റീസ് നൽകുന്നതിനെയാണ് personification എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. Haven't you heard of some poets giving the attributes of human qualities to certain non-living things? Like the raindrops are given the names as Jack and John. Let us go through one more example. My alarm yelled at me this morning. Now look at this line. We know that alarms can't yell, right? Here the alarm is given the human quality of yelling. Clear? Another example is the wind stood up and gave a shout. Here you can see that the poet is given the quality of standing and shouting to the wind. So this is called as personification. Is it clear, children? Okay. So we have learnt in this lesson what a fable is, the essential elements of a story. We have gone through a poem titled The Owl and the Pussycat and also learned the poetic devices, internal rhyme, limerick and personification. I hope you have understood it well. Now it's time for your homework. Pick out the expressions from the poem that give a human element to the owl and the pussycat. So do your homework and submit it on time. Okay. And that's all for the day. I'll meet you in the next class. Till then, take care. Thank you.